Okay, I was ever my kwaba strong so at about Ghana Politics Avenue. So I was young bonra a year yens. Muloya Martin Kpebu at the Ensembi Ababetuda Afa a Ken Ofori Atta ni detention arrest a US immigration for arrest no ICE and so from ICE now. Sisi ano saa ice for yi a omo arrest Ken Ofori Atta no abusia sisi a omo ba be transfer no e de akwa FBI for na omo nso ahye omo process ase na omo de na ba Ghana ha sisi abusua eno no latest update a echese lawyer Martin Kpebu de ho nsem ebre na yensem mremo me enko na yenkonkotie ensema ekoso na abusua Ken Ofori Atta de wa Ghana force bi train emu ayeten de amano US abonten so a kian ne ken papa no obeba be pimo e wo Ghana sisi an case no ye transfer no e de na akoma ice sorry ye transfer no e de na akoma FBI for abuzu an subscribe like na share ma afofron so enter into me enkabi Ghana Politics Avenue so medam ase
also impact on the extradition process. Does it have any correlation, any nexus between with what is happening now? The U.S. authorities take interest in the extradition and to look a bit further into Ken Ofori Atta's status, reason why he is here right now?
Okay. Yeah, all right. So on the matter of how easy would this arrest make the extradition, what I can say straight up, I mean, cut to the chase, we cannot readily say that this arrest by itself makes the extradition process easy. No, remember the two are separate. Currently, he's been arrested by ICE because of a visa violation, okay? That's his stay in America, right? And the extradition request is a separate request from the government of Ghana that he should come down to, he should be brought back to Ghana to face criminal charges, right, in the SML matter. So now that ICE is dealing with him, I made a point that where it could be a bit easy is the point of arrest. So now this is the point. Now that he's in the custody of ICE, he's fighting, including possibly going to court. So if ICE doesn't release him early and he has to go to court fighting ICE for his release, it is possible that the extradition request would travel to the point where he needs to be arrested. And if at the point that he needs to be arrested, he's in the custody of ICE, then it makes it easy. Because it's in the custody of ICE, I'm sure in American law, they would have processes in place to show that even where he's done with ICE, he cannot be released, but then he has to be transferred to the FBI, etc., for them to continue with the extradition proceedings. One of the key preliminary steps will be to arrest Ofori Atta. So whilst he's battling ICE in court, if the extradition people finish early, that's get to the stage where they need to arrest him, and he's done with ICE and they're about to release, then the FBI and the justice can take him. You see, so it's not bad. It's not bad, at least for now. It's not bad. Let's just hope that our extradition request makes significant progress quickly. And the watchword here is quickly enough. So meaning also that if for the extradition proceedings, right? Before the actual court case starts, they will need to arrest him. So that's when I'm saying that if at the time they need to arrest him, he's still in the ICE custody, then it's easier. They will go do the arrest there. But as to whether they will transfer him to FBI, etc., I don't know. We'll cross the bridge when we get there. But the main thing is that once he's in custody, it's a bit easier because they'll go and do the arrest procedures in custody, okay? And also they don't have to spend time looking for him. Then the extradition proceedings will go to court. So it means that he can even be attending both courts, doing the ICE case and at the same time also attending the court for the extradition proceedings. Yeah, so it can be a bit easy only on the part of the arrest at the time he needs to be arrested for the extradition proceedings. If he's still in custody in the ICE case, it's easier to arrest him.
I see. It's a U.S. visa. I'm talking about Kenoforiata's U.S. visa expiring on the 14th of February. That's next month, Valentine's Day. Is this consistent with the information that you have?
Yes, I think I first gave this information on your show last year, and it is consistent that next month the U.S. visa will expire.
Now, what more do we know about the other visas that Kenoforiata has and the options and which countries that he still has valid visas to travel to?
Yes, he has valid visas to the United Kingdom and also to Canada. And then the UK visa will expire in 2032. The exact date is April 21st, 2032. That is when Kenoforiata's visa to the United Kingdom will expire. And then his Canadian visa will also expire in 2031. May, that's May 31st, 2031, his Canadian visa will expire. So these are the two foreign visas that are active on his passport now.
Kenoforiata being detained in this facility by ICE. And from your own following of this particular issue, taking into consideration how this has evolved over time till this moment that ICE is holding him regarding his current status in the United States. How does it strike you? Hello, Manasseh, can you hear us?
Hello, please, can you repeat the question,
I was saying that with this, how this matter has evolved over time, right from when he left the jurisdiction until now that ICE is holding him in this facility. I'm talking about the former finance minister. You've been neck deep into how this particular case regarding Kenoforiata has evolved over time. How does this development strike you with him being held in this detention because of his status in the United States?
Well, sometimes we look at the legal aspect of it. We also look at the practical aspect. I said on Daybreak some weeks ago that from my experience, this case could go beyond what the timelines people were expecting, that it would take. If they thought maybe it could take 5 years, it could take more than that. It could also take less, because beyond the legal aspect, there are also diplomatic and other channels. If the US today doesn't want any citizen in their country, someone like Kenoforiata, if they want Kenoforiata to be in Ghana by tomorrow, they can put him on the next available plane. And I said that I have read stories about people who have had their visas revoked. They did not overstay, but for one or two reasons. And then the explanation given by the authorities is that, look, we have given you the privilege to be in our country. It is not your right, so we can choose to do what we want. So what is happening? Two things. I think it makes it easier. And I may even suspect that a petition and the noise may have put the eyes of the authorities, drawn the eyes of the authorities to Kenoforiata. That is possible, even though it may not be related. It is possible that his detention now could, in a remote way, be influenced by the petition. That may not be the reason, but it would have taken eyes to him and they would go through, oh, well, he even overstayed, so there is this other charge. So maybe someone can be, let's say, arrested for robbery, and in the process of the robbery, they may find out that he also raped someone. So all of these are possibilities. I'm not saying that's what it is. Two, it also in a way should teach those who hold public office a lesson that, look, when you have the opportunity to serve your country, then do well to serve your country and serve it well. I don't think any minister of state, any MP, anybody in this country would want to be kept at this center, especially when you say you are there and the reason you are there is that you are not well. Even if he was a very fit and strong Kenofriata, he wouldn't want to spend a night at this facility. That alone is humiliation. He went there for healthcare. Fair. But if we were to put our hospitals in order, and then we have very great medical doctors and health professionals who are leaving the country and working here in the US. So it is even possible that a hospital that Kenofriata is being attended to or treated, there are Ghanaian doctors and medical personnel who are treating him there. If you read Obama's book, A Promised Land, he mentions the Walter Reed Medical Institute Center where US presidents go to have health care.
Right.
He was praising how immigrants had come and they were working hard at this facility. And when I read that book, one thing that stood out for me was that when he was mentioning the nations where these workers came from, he mentioned Nigeria. So what is the point? We have dedicated, hardworking medical personnel who are in countries like the US, Africa, taking care of presidents and ministers and important people here. Yet our own people, when they fall sick, have to travel and come here. And the main reason, in my view, is not that we don't have qualified and dedicated health practitioners.
Right.
We have them, but people like Kenofriata who have the opportunity to govern the country and resource our hospitals would rather invest in schemes such as SML. And so what is happening, I just want us to look at it even beyond Kenofriata and look at leadership in general and what that says about us.
I see, and I do thank you for this. And also, Lawyer Kpebu is still with us. Lawyer, I'm going to come to you in a bit. But if you go on the Immigration and Custom Enforcement, that's the ICE website, that's the Homeland Security in the United States. This is what they have there. If you do the search on Kenneth Oforiatta, you will have this information. We're going to put it on the screen right now. His full name there, country of birth, Ghana, status in ICE custody. That's Kenneth Oforiatta's status right now as captured on the official website of the Department of Homeland Security. And then that's the state of Virginia. And the current detention facility, as we have showed you, is Caroline Detention Facility. That is this particular location, as we've been showing you all the while. So that is the information that you would find on the Department of Homeland Security's website and giving more details about this particular location right now. And Lawyer Kpebu, you a few weeks ago had put out some information that you had picked up that Kenneth Oforiatta was working on getting a permanent stay in the United States of America. And this particular development, as captured in his lawyer's statement they put out yesterday, that Kenneth Oforiatta has a pending petition for adjustment of status. What the expression they use there is that he has a pending petition for adjustment of status, which authorizes a person to stay in the United States legally past the period of validity of their visa. Does this give any vindication to that statement earlier?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So we'll start with the lawyer's letter. So the lawyer, that is the Menka Premuenko, they admit that Oforiatta has a pending petition before the immigration authorities of the U.S. to adjust his status in the U.S. That phrase, to adjust his status in the U.S., that's the part of it that says that he's applied to change. So he wants to become a permanent resident. That's why he has a pending petition to adjust his status. So pending petition for permanent residence. You know, I had mentioned earlier that the information I got about two months ago was that his son had applied for him to become a permanent resident. So the son is a citizen, right, of the US, and he has applied for Ofori Atta to become a permanent resident. I know it takes some time. And so that's the process that he's going through. Yes, if you're a citizen of the US, you can file for your father, you can file for your mother, but it takes some time. And that's what he's going through, right? So I'm happy that you see the lawyers have corroborated it. As I said a few months ago, about 2 months ago, when I first mentioned it, people were asking for my source, and even some others doubted it. But now there you have it in the lawyer's letter saying that he has a pending petition to adjust his status in the US. That's to change from visitor's visa to become, or a visitor, okay, or a person on business trip, to becoming a permanent resident. So from the name permanent resident, it means that he'll be permanently resident in the US. Of course, he can travel all along. I mean, he can travel anywhere he wants to go and come back freely, better than those who use the B1, B2 visas. When we say B1, B2, that's the normal visitor's visa or business trip visa. When you're a permanent resident, it gives you more rights in the American society, etc., rather than going on a visitor's or business trip visa. Yeah, so that is what it is. And you remember, at that time, we complained vehemently that was it that the OSU was delaying the trial in absentia to give Ofori Atta more time in his application to become a permanent resident, because it didn't make sense. Why all this while the special prosecutor was fighting that no, they will not do trial in absentia, they will not do trial in absentia from January, then eventually in November, they now say yes, they will do it. After giving Ofori Atta about 1 year, you see, to consider his options. That is really, really unfair. And that's how come we keep saying we want accountability, that the special prosecutor be dealt with according to law.
Well, I thank you very much, Kpebu. Thank you for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. And then also, Manasseh Azura, thank you so much for joining us, an investigative journalist. Manasseh, thank you. There's a bit more of this that we're going to be sinking our teeth into in the coming days, so stay with us. This matter is unfolding thick and fast, and the good thing is that, as with the United States, matters of such nature, you would have publicly available and verifiable documents that you would see. So everything that we are putting on the screen, you out there watching us can go on the website of the Department of Homeland Security, check it out for yourself, okay? And then also the detention center, what we are showing to you is publicly available and verifiable data that you can find as well watching us. So please stay with us on this as we go every step of the way. But here's what we do know. So after the detention, what next? What next after the detention? This is how the coming days will look like for Ken Ofori Atta. This is it. The initial process is that there's going to be the fingerprints, photos taken, personal belongings confiscated. That is whatever he had on him at the time he was picked up. This is the first stage, which we believe has been done already. Then next, ICE would determine if the person is a flight risk, national security, public safety threat, or if humanitarian factors such as, take note of this, serious medical condition, primary caregiver, warrant of release on condition or mandatory detention. So, as we do know that Ken Ofori Atta went through a medical surgery, we understand that he is recuperating, he's recovering. As to the state of his recovery, will determine how long he would be kept in this particular detention facility, because that's part of the factors that would influence the custody decision. You'll find this on the ICE website as well. The next point is the detainees are held in these ICE detention centers, local jails or military bases, and can be transferred between facilities. So that's also something that could play out. But then again, as we do know, the Ken Ofori Atta status is not one that fits into the what has been described in these other persons who could be moved from one facility to the other. In terms of communication, they get limited phone calls, that's often collect, and may have access to tablets for communication with funds added by the family. The calls are also monitored. The government doesn't provide a lawyer. Detainees must find their own, or access legal aid or law libraries. That's why we got clearly the information from that's the statement from Kenneth Reata's lawyers yesterday, that their counterparts in the United States are working around the clock to get Kenneth Reata out of this facility. So he already has the legal help as per the information contained in the statement from his lawyers yesterday. They have constitutional rights, including to remain silent. You have to stay calm during encounters, but conditions can be harsh with reports of medical neglect and isolation. And you heard Frank Davis corroborate this particular point, that from what he has also read and been told, the conditions in this Caroline detention facility in some cases could not be one that will be too welcoming. That's also what you find in here. And in terms of the immigration court and what's going to be happening, because then Kenneth Reata has a petition, okay? It's going to go through the process. A judge hears the case. First hearings are often weeks after this particular process of the initial detention, usually via video. And then detainees can seek bond, that is money deposit, for release, or be released on recognizance. That's their own promise to appear. So the recognizance is dependent, and it is not essentially a right. It is the prerogative of the judge who's sitting, and then also whether or not this particular individual is a flight risk and others, they'll take all of that into consideration. So we'll see how things will play out in the coming days. And on the matter of deportation, a number of you are asking, now that he's been detained and we have a deportation request for him, that's what you heard lawyer Kpebu say, that it's not a straightforward matter. Okay? It has to go through a process as well. If the judge orders removal, that is, if ICE carries it out, though appeals or voluntary departure, that is living at the own cost of the person, might also be an option. So the deportation of Kenneth Reata is predicate or dependent on the judge giving this said order, taking into consideration all matters at play. So we're going to see how things play out in the coming days on this particular issue. So stay with us. A lot more of this on TV3 Ghana, on 3FM 92.7 across all media journal platforms. And this is it. You'll find all of this information as we've detailed on TV3 Ghana on Facebook.
Okay, I was in and some course or our political highway. So I lawyer Kpebu and I in Kase. Or this are and some no to ja a day. Am I an unsubscribe? Subscribe, like, and share my Afro so and sa into me and Kabi aha Ghana Politics Avenue. So and don't forget to click on the notification bell so that any updates be ever dropping on so once every to me Aka Madam Ase.